Okay, let's face it. The internet is, well, it's huge and it's noisy. So if you're a brand or a business, you've got this one massive challenge, right? How in the world do you get noticed? How do you actually stand out and find the people who are looking for you?
So that's the big question, isn't it? How do you win that battle for attention? Well, it turns out there are really two main paths you can go down. And each one has its own game plan, its own price tag, and really importantly, its own timeline for seeing results.
You know, the best way I've found to think about this is like two totally different kinds of races. First, you've got the marathon. This is your long game, right? It's all about endurance, consistency, building something that lasts. Then, on the other hand, you have the sprint, a super fast, powerful burst of speed that's all about getting immediate results. So let's see how this whole marathon versus sprint thing plays out in the world of digital marketing.
All right, here's what we're going to cover. First, what it actually takes to get found online. Then, we'll dive deep into the differences between SEO and SEM. After that, we'll map out a blueprint for your own campaigns, show you how to measure if it's working, and finally, the big one, how to calculate if you're actually making money from it all.
Okay, first things first. Let's put some official names to our two racers. Anytime you hear people talk about getting found on search engines, like Google, they're almost always talking about one of two things: search engine optimization, which we call SEO, and search engine marketing, or SEM. These are pretty much the two fundamental ways to get your voice out there.
So we know their names, but what's the actual difference? And maybe more importantly, which one is the right fit for you? This is exactly where that marathon versus sprint idea really starts to make sense.
All right, let's break this down point by point. First up, cost. With SEO, our marathon, it's all about earning your spot. You do it organically with great content. But with SEM, the sprint, you're just paying to be at the top. It's an ad. And that one difference changes, well, everything. Because SEM is paid, its focus is naturally on driving sales, like right now. SEO, on the other hand, is all about building trust for the long haul. Think about it. It tells search engines that you're a legit, reliable source. And that's why we as users tend to trust those organic results more. So, SEO's effect is really durable, but it can be trickier to measure. SEM? You get guaranteed visibility at the top, and it's super easy to track right from the get-go.
So here's the bottom line. If you really boil it all down, SEO is your game plan for building that lasting trust, that authority over time, and SEM, that's your tool for getting immediate, measurable sales today. It's really important to get this. One isn't better than the other. They just do completely different jobs. Okay, so we've got the what down. Now let's get into the how. Because whether you're gearing up for a marathon, a sprint, or maybe even a little of both, every single successful campaign starts with a solid plan. A blueprint, if you will.
Every great campaign boils down to these four essential steps. First, you have to define your objective. I mean, if you don't know where the finish line is, how can you ever cross it? Second, you write a campaign brief. This is what gets everyone on the same page. Third, and this is a big one, you have to know your audience. Who are you even talking to? And last, you build a dedicated landing page, so all that traffic you're generating actually has somewhere specific and useful to go.
So, let's zoom in on that campaign brief for a second. Seriously, think of this thing as your North Star. It's got to be crystal clear on a few things. What's the objective? What's the one key benefit for the customer? What's the right tone of voice? And what's the proof to back it all up? If you don't have this, your campaign is just lost.
All right, so your campaign is up and running. Awesome. But how do you know if it's actually doing anything? You can't just cross your fingers and hope for the best. You've got to measure your impact with real data. And that means getting familiar with a couple of key metrics that really tell the story of what's happening.
So one of the most basic but powerful metrics out there is called click-through rate, or CTR. It's actually super simple. It just asks, of all the people who see your ad, we call that an impression, what percentage of them actually click on it? That number, your CTR, is a fantastic gut check for how interesting or compelling your ad is.
And don't worry, the math is not scary at all. You just take the total number of clicks your ad got, divide that by the total number of times it was shown, and then multiply by 100 to get the percentage. That's it. This simple little formula is really the bedrock of how we measure digital ad performance.
And this all leads us to the million-dollar question. Literally, was it worth it? I mean, tracking clicks is nice, but connecting those clicks to actual money, now that's how you know if your campaign was a real success. So let's walk through an example to see how all the numbers stack up.
Okay, let's put some real numbers to this. Imagine we invest $100,000 into a campaign. That's our starting point. That's the cash we put in that we need to see a return on.
So, we spend that money, and what happens? Let's say it gets us 25,000 clicks. That's pretty good. That means 25,000 people saw our ad and thought, I'm interested, and took that first step. So far, so good.
Now we can figure out our first important metric, the cost per click, or CPC. We just take our $100,000 investment and divide it by those 25,000 clicks. Do the math, and it comes out to $4. So every single one of those clicks cost us $4.
But here's the thing, and any marketer will tell you this. A click is not a customer. Not yet. The next crucial step is to see how many of those clicks actually turned into real prospects. We call them leads. These are the people who actually raised their hand and said, I'm interested, by filling out a form or something. In our example, we got 15,000 leads.
And that brings us to what might be the most important number of the whole shebang. We take our original $100,000 investment, and this time we divide it by the 15,000 leads we got. That gives us a cost per lead, or CPL, of $6.70. This number, this is the one that tells you exactly what it costs to get one potential customer in the door. It's absolutely crucial for knowing if your campaign was truly a success or not.
So after all that, we're right back where we started. The big question, is your goal to build that long-term trust and authority by running the SEO marathon, or do you need those immediate, measurable results today by running the SEM sprint? You know, the data can help you figure it out, but just understanding that these two different paths exist, that's your first step to winning that battle for attention online. So the real question for you is, which path are you going to choose?